We are going to be going through each of these majors. So we're going to start with Biomedical Engineering. If you hear BME, this is the acronym that we typically use. You probably know here at UC and in CEAS, we use a lot of acronyms. So BME is that acronym for Biomedical Engineering. This major takes a pretty large variety of classes, primarily classes that are based in physics, chemistry, biology. It's pretty well-rounded in terms of the course load. There are 2 tracks available within biomedical engineering. One is focused on medical devices, and the other is focused on research. So you can see here in this fourth semester picture, so labeled summer 2021, you see BME Focus 1. So that is the first time that you can take one of these focus classes. In total, students in this major will take 3 classes in the focus area that they choose. So for most students, you should be on co-op at least once before picking which focus you want to pursue. So this gives you a chance to be out in the industry before you decide, okay, which track am I really taking here? Students can also take classes in both tracks, either one class from both tracks, or even 2 or 3. What's nice about doing that is that you could also use, like, say you ended up pursuing medical devices, but you took the first research focus class, that can also count as a BME elective. So not a total waste of time if you did want to take both before you really decided and settled on a track. This program is a double section rotation, so that does mean that students can start their co-op either in the fall or the spring of sophomore year. If you are a transition student, particularly from outside of CEAS, so from Exploratory or Blue Ash or Claremont or other programs, your advisor for this program will definitely lay out in terms of what classes you have completed, what else you need to complete before you can start co-op, and will really help you lay out where you should be co-oping, or at least where you're eligible to start co-oping. So that's the nice part about being admitted, is that that we can help. So I actually did see a question pop up about when. Oh, this is fun. I think WebEx had an update. I can actually see some questions coming in. So the question was about, can you choose your co-op? For biomedical and chemical, your advisor will help determine if you're eligible to start searching and which semester you're eligible to start searching for. In some cases, you may be eligible to start searching for that fall of second year. If that didn't work out, you could still take classes and then bump your search to spring. So that's the general guideline for most students. Again, transition students, you may end up having a very specific rotation based on the classes that you're bringing in. So the full curriculum is online. This is just the first 2 years. After that, it gets a little bit more elective heavy. In senior year, we have some more specialized BME electives, such as tissue engineering, joint biomechanics, some biostats and research. So you can kind of specialize what you want to take in your senior year, and your capstone will be focused on a project that you do with students, or you can do some individual research if you're on the research track. All right, so that's a lot about BME. I know not everyone in here wants BME, so we'll go ahead and move on to chemical. All right, so chemical engineering, you can probably guess from the title of the major that the classes are very chemistry-based, also heavily based in math. Students in this major take Calc 1 and 2 and Diff EQ. So, and then of course for chemistry, students in this major take Gen Chem 1 and 2, OChem 1 and 2, as we can see here in the curriculum, as well as some additional upper level chemistry classes. It's pretty easy to pick up a minor in chemistry if you're already pursuing this major. Other common minors for this major include materials engineering and environmental engineering, because they are relevant to this industry, and also because they're not too difficult to get, because there's a lot of overlap in the classes between the major and the minors. So of course, there are some other minors you could pursue as well. These are just common add-ons. Chemical engineering is already kind of a broad field, but if you want to have some specialization, a minor is a great way to get that. This is also a major where this is a double section. So again, half of the cohort will be out on one co-op rotations. So again, sophomore year is kind of when we make that split. So half of the cohort going out in the fall, the other half going out in the spring. Again, depending on where you are specifically with your academics, your advisor will help you determine, if you're going to be able to, kind of be searching for one semester and kind of have your pick between fall and spring, or if you really need to be kind of assigned to where you'll go based on your classes. So then chemical engineering students also take some electives in senior year that help them specialize, again, in some additional areas in this field. Some great examples would be polymer physics, fuel cells, microfluidics. Sorry, my dog is very upset that I am not playing with her right now. If you can hear her. Yes, thank you. So anyway, so you can have a little bit of choice, especially in your later years, to specialize in and learn more about different areas, maybe perhaps that you saw on co-op or touched on in some of your other chemical engineering classes. And last but not least, environmental engineering. So again, a variety of courses here, definitely a lot of chemistry, some physics, and certainly some math. And some other common complements to this major include the Geography Information Sciences certificate. This is partly because students take the first class for the certificate already as a required class for the major. So it's just 3 additional classes to get that GIS certificate. And some students have told me that that's actually helpful in their field for what they're doing. So that could be something that you consider if you're interested in environmental engineering. Chemistry and biology are other things that we typically hear of as minors or at least areas of interest for things like technical electives. And then we do have pretty specific elective choices in your senior year for environmental engineering. So out of these 3 categories listed here, air, water and wastewater, and hydro systems, we ask you to pick 2 of those categories, and then within both categories, take 2 classes from each. So that, I know it's a confusing way to hear it, but essentially it's 4 classes, 2 of which can be from one category, 2 of which can be from another. So if you ended up on co-op and you did some water quality or water treatment work, and so you want to learn a little bit more about that, perhaps you would pick the water and wastewater category as an area to take 2 electives. And then perhaps hydro systems also makes sense there as well. Environmental engineering is a single section co-op rotation. So that means this co-op rotation is very specified. We tell you exactly which semesters you'll be out on co-op. Everybody in this cohort goes out at the same time and comes back for classes at the same time. It is a smaller program in terms of number of students, so that's what makes it pretty nice to be able to say we know exactly when you'll be on co-op. Again, transition students, sometimes we find, depending on what classes you're bringing in, if you have prereqs done for the 3rd or 4th semester, we may say, hey, you might need to miss your first co-op so you can take classes and get caught back up and then be on track with your cohort and perhaps complete 4 co-op semesters. Again, this is highly dependent on each student that comes in and what classes they have. So your new advisor will absolutely work with you and develop your plan for what makes sense for you. All right. So a lot of times people want to know, well, what can I actually do with these majors? These are just some general common examples for each of the majors. This is certainly not in any way, shape, or form an exhaustive list. There are many more areas of work that can be listed under each of these majors. I just wanted to give you a general idea of common areas of industry where we see students going. So for BME, of course, with the biomedical focus, a lot of students might end up in the medical field in some capacity, whether it's developing devices or actually working in medicine or going on to med school. That's actually pretty common for some of our students to be on a pre-med track and actually going to medical school. Testing and maintenance for different equipment, working on sports equipment, or even equipment that is just used on your body in different areas. I've had a student in the past actually co-op at NASA because your spacesuits need to work with your body, right? So that's actually biomedical related. So lots of different areas you can do with BME. Chemical, typically the areas of industry that we see would be in pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, oil and gas, R&D, product development. I'm sure a lot of you that might be interested in this major probably already kind of knew some of these things. And then for environmental engineering, pretty broad as well. One thing I've noticed this year in talking with environmental engineering students, especially first-year students, is that they didn't realize that there can often be overlap with civil and construction jobs. So we have construction sites listed here, but a lot of those types of companies also hire environmental engineers. I actually just talked with one of our seniors earlier today who is working with a construction company part-time because they are building some water treatment facilities. So they also need an environmental engineer's perspective as they're building these things. So pretty cool there. There's a lot of different areas you can work in. And as many of you probably already know, once you are in a CEAS major, you also get assigned a co-op advisor. So that's someone that's separate from myself, Linda, or Vicky for these majors. That's someone who can help you specifically. Sorry, my dog again is barking, but that co-op advisor can help you with those searches, those areas of industry that you might want to explore in companies that might be looking for someone like you. All right, so I did mention earlier that we will touch briefly on alternate pathways. So I think I saw some questions earlier in the chat that some students are like, I at least want to submit an application, but I'm not 100% sure on this decision. No, on this decision. Thank you. Yes, I would love to play with my dog for the next hour. But for those of you that aren't 100% sure on your engineering decision, there are other areas that you can consider that are somewhat related to the programs we're talking about today. Particularly for those of you that saw cosmetic sciences as an area where you could work in with chemical engineering, our chemistry department in the College of Arts and Sciences at UC also offers a 4+1 where you can earn a Master of Science in Cosmetic Science. So there are multiple paths to get to that end goal. Industrial design in the College of Business is pretty popular with our engineering students. It's still pretty technical in nature, but oftentimes students will want to go that route. It's a little bit more management, business focused versus theoretical engineering focused. The medical sciences degree in the College of Medicine, yes, that's an undergraduate degree in medical sciences, has a concentration available in biomedical research. So if you're pretty set on going into the field of medicine, particularly for that, that could be something that you check out as well and decide, for you, what is better, BME or MedSci. For those of you interested in environmental engineering, you may have also been checking out environmental studies. They have a cool option as well if you're interested in this. They have a 3+3 law school program. So your bachelor's and your law degree in 6 years. So that's pretty neat if you have that interest, worth checking out as well. And of course, biological sciences has a lot of different areas that some of our students are already pretty interested in. So we just want to make sure that you know about your options at UC. There's a lot of really neat partnerships and programs, both for CEAS students as well as these College of Arts and Sciences or MedSci or business students. So just want to make sure you're aware of where you want to be and where you're going to be happiest. All right. So that's certainly enough of me talking. I would love to turn it over to Ellie and Christian, and we'll start taking questions. We just want to make sure that you all get your questions answered. Ellie, Christian, you guys can introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ellie. I am in my 4th year of Biomedical Engineering. I'm on co-op currently at a company called Standard Bariatrics in Blue Ash. It's my 4th rotation, but my first one there. I'm getting 2 minors, one in Biomedical Electronics and Computing, and one in Professional Sales through the Lundger College of Business. And then I'm also getting my Master's in Materials Engineering through the Ascend program, so feel free to ask about that if you have any questions. And I'm an RA. That's my fun fact.
Hi, everyone. I'm a 5th-year biomedical engineering student, also minoring in biomedical electronics and computing, but then also getting a materials engineering minor. I've done 4 co-ops, so 2 at Zimmer Biomet in Warsaw, Indiana. They make orthopedic devices, so they're the world's 3rd largest producer of those. I probably actually have one in my closet if you guys want to see. And then I also did 2 at Becton Dickinson, which is a Fortune 500 medical device company. I was supposed to go there over the summer, but it's in New York City, and they said, it's probably safest if you guys don't come out here. But if I decide to go get my master's, I have a standing offer for them to go back out. So that's enough about me. Do you guys have any questions?
We do have 7 minutes available for questions. So you guys can drop them in the chat or you can unmute.
If you guys also have questions about chemical engineering and environmental engineering, please ask. Ellie and I both know a lot about those majors too, so I don't think we can only answer BME questions.
So someone asked, what do you want to do with your majors?
I'll go first. So as a biomedical engineering major, what I initially wanted to get involved with was with prosthetic design. However, on my first rotation, I realized that's not what I like to do. So I played sports my whole life. I grew up, I went to school, went to my school practice, went to club practice afterwards. So that was what I lived. And as such, I worked in a sports medicine department. So at Zimmer Biomet, working with sports medicine was really cool. I got to learn a lot about different surgeries and design different devices with those. So working in a sports medicine or sports engineering type capacity would be what I strive to do with my degree.
I'm super interested in laparoscopic and thoracic surgery. I currently work for a company that does laparoscopic bariatric surgery. I like the idea of minimally invasive surgeries. I actually got to go into one this morning, so that's something that I really enjoy doing. I would love to either pursue this route as like a manager and be working with doctors to get user needs so that we could improve different surgeries in the OR, or as a sales rep so that I would be going into the OR on my day-to-day, working through procedures with doctors and just seeing how they like devices, how we can improve them, and things like that.
There's a question about why did you decide that the materials engineering minor would be best?
So for me, I was either between doing the materials engineering minor or what Ellie's doing and get a materials engineering master's. Unfortunately, I had commitment issues with that. I didn't know that's what I wanted to do afterwards. So instead of committing my whole graduate degree to Ascend, I decided to get a minor instead. And why I chose materials engineering was because actually my first co-op rotation, I was comparing the material properties of different metals that we were using in our devices. So I needed to have a fundamental understanding of how materials work, their different material properties, so I could choose the best materials for the device I was working on.
And next question is, if I am an exploratory major right now and I want to apply for BME, am I allowed to register for classes that are in BME's curriculum, or do I have to get accepted first? It's classes like computer-aided design and engineering physics. So I think, Caitlin, you want to go ahead?
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So generally, our classes for BME, if there's room in there, you can certainly take the BME classes. It's just sometimes the classes get very full. However, in the spring of 2021, a lot of our courses are still going to be online, so we're not really overly concerned with, classroom capacity. If you are interested in applying for BME, please reach out to one of us advisors and we can work with you directly if you want to take a BME class. I don't think that the system will block you from taking the class unless it was already programmed in there. So some classes may be programmed for only BME students and some may just allow you to do it. Since it is a freshman class, I don't think there's a block on it, but again, reach out to us individually to one of the advisors for your specific situation. But thanks for the question. And then there's another question. Why did you choose to go into engineering? So Christian, Ellie?
Actually, before we do that question, there is a question above. Do you mind if we touch on that one first? Balancing work and social life.
Yeah, go for it. That's also important.
Yeah, no worries. So I feel like that's a big stigma with engineering in particular, is that, I'm always, studying or doing something for that. Just to get that out of the way, that's not the case. It's very easy to have a good social life and be successful in your classes too. It just depends on what you like to get involved with. So both Ellie and I, we're both CEAS ambassadors. So that's a group that we basically show the college off to high school students. We get involved with other things like that. But that's a really great group of people to understand, we have time for studying and we have time for when we can go out, go get dinner or something like that. A good rule of thumb for me is I like to think of this as my job. So I have like 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, depending on how you want to think about it. But if it's my 30-hour a week job and I'm taking 18 credit hours, okay, so then I need 12 hours in the rest of my week to dedicate to schoolwork. So that can be studying, doing homework, supplemental things like that. But if it's outside of that time frame of the parameters that I set, unless it's super crucial, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna make sure I go out with friends, work out, stay healthy, or something like that.
It definitely depends on what you want to do with your time. Like, do you want to study all the time? I have some friends who are going into medical school, and to them, they really enjoy like doing research and looking up studies and like learning about COVID. So if that's how you want to spend your time, you definitely can throw all of your time into your studies. It's not something most of us recommend. There's a lot of things to do on campus. I'm an RA, so I get to spend time with other RAs, and I have a bunch of students that I get to see on the regular. I'm in a couple of clubs. I just find things that I do around campus that I enjoy. Like Christian said, figuring out how much time you need for each class in the first 1 or 2 weeks of that class is super important, because then you can kind of plan for your future. Just staying on top of things, time management is kind of the biggest thing. Know how to manage your time and stay on top of it. And then I'll go into why did you go into engineering? I like solving problems. I think it's very fascinating. I also really like anatomy. My original plan was to go to medical school. So I started on that track. I have since switched off of that track. I don't know if you guys have witnessed a surgery, but it's kind of gross. Um, I would prefer to watch from afar. And so I chose engineering because it gave me the opportunity to go in the OR, and sometimes when you're in the OR, the doctors are like, "Oh my gosh, like this sucks. I don't want, why is this not working the way I want it to?" And then that's our opportunity to be like, "I got something for you." Or if you're building a bridge and someone's like, "Why can't it be like this?" Like, you can present to them a solution to their problem, and that's something I've always been fascinated with.
Yeah, I'd pretty much agree with what Ellie said. Both I have two older brothers. They're both either doctors or in medical school. So I was always drawn towards the medical field growing up. I didn't really want to go to med school. It wasn't for me. But choosing biomedical engineering allowed me to still be in the operating room, still get involved with healthcare, but not necessarily go through a lot of school because I don't want to.
Thank you both. We are technically at time. So for those of you that are here that wanted to attend another session, those should be starting in a few minutes. The links were in Corinne's room previously. Hopefully you grabbed one of them. If you need some help, let us know. Someone did ask about discerning a difference between biomedical and biomechanical engineering. Since we don't have a biomechanical engineering here at UC, I don't know if either of you two know much about that.
I can touch on it really quick. So biomechanical engineering would focus more on how your body moves, so like the biomechanics side. So engineering different solutions based on movement. Biomedical, so what we like to focus on is the medical device pathway. So slightly different. You can do biomedical in biomechanical and vice versa. But I would say biomedical, we focus more on the medical field as a whole, where biomechanics, you would just be looking at movement. So they are similar, but there are some, I guess, key differences between the two.
Well, thank you so much. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for the great questions. We'll go ahead and wrap this up so you can move on to your second session. If you have any other questions for myself or Linda or even Corinne, please reach out to us over email and we'd be happy to chat. Thanks for coming.